Saddle up, Father.
Hey, it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another Star Trek video. Are filler episodes really so bad? Now, truth be told, I don't really keep up with new shows. I think the most recent new show that I actually sat down and watched was the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I mostly watch older TV shows and almost never tune into new shows. Yes, that even includes the new Star Trek shows. With the exception of a couple of clips and the first episode of Star Trek Picard and the first episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, I haven't actually watched any of the new Star Trek shows. Just going off of what I've seen, the new stuff's not for me. I'd rather stick to the Star Trek I do enjoy, which is the original series through Enterprise. That being said, I still run across the scuttlebutt on the new Star Trek shows, and one of the complaints I run into a lot, whether by fans or even people who work on the shows, is how certain episodes are considered filler episodes, or, as Google explains it to me, an episode that does not advance the main plot or significantly develop characters. They're self-contained and can easily be skipped without the audience missing anything. So in other words, most of Star Trek before 2009. Now, I would argue that what people refer to as filler is actually a great opportunity for writers to experiment with different kinds of stories. But there's a time and place for it. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. My very, very, very unscientific analysis of filler episodes, when they work, when they don't work, and highlight some great Trek episodes that would technically be counted as filler. And of course, this is just my observation and opinion. It's not a review of the new Star Trek shows because, well, I'd actually have to sit down and watch them, and I'm simply not interested, so take all this for what you will, and comment below what you think.
I have the right to express my opinion.
But before I go further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And if you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. Be great to have you aboard. Now, I can understand why people complain about filler in news shows, and it's even justified. Gone are the days of 20+ episodes per season, and here are the days of shorter, maybe 10 episodes per season. If you have a limited number of episodes per season, there's a lot less room to experiment. And if the entire season is a story arc, there's even less room. In that case, yes, filler episodes can be unnecessary, and if they're bad episodes, it can really bring down a season. And before you say, Waz, how could you know that? You don't watch new TV shows. I've watched my share of British period dramas.
I will set the break first, Jim.
My God, what is this, the Dark Ages?
Yes, you know me for my Star Trek content, but we haven't even scratched the surface of my period drama takes.
I saw her with my own eyes not 3 months ago.
No!
Bravo!
Wonderful! If you look at British TV through the years, and not just period dramas either, 10 to 12 episodes per series isn't new, and something like a miniseries has even less episodes to fully develop a story. When you have limited episodes, you really have to use the episodes you're given to develop the main story and avoid going off on tangents. I mean, can you imagine if you're watching Pride and Prejudice, there's only 6 episodes in the series, you're on episode 5, and right as everyone finds out Lydia Bennet eloped and possibly disgraced her entire family and possibly ruined the chances of Elizabeth marrying and finding happiness with Mr. Darcy, we get a Mr. Collins origin story? I don't give a shit about that little weirdo. Get back to the main story. There's only 1 episode left. Now, I'm not saying shorter seasons can't work. Heck, they worked pretty well in the UK for years. But there's a lot less room to go off on side quests with limited runtime. You're probably limited to filler scenes, but that's about it. There's nothing wrong with that either. It can help break up the tension of the episode. Give the audience a break, even for 5 minutes. Now, where filler episodes do work are in longer seasons, like the 22 to 26 episode long seasons of years gone by. Heck, depending on how loose of a definition you want to use, you could argue that the episodic nature of Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Voyager could almost entirely be filler. Though probably to Voyager's detriment, that show is episodic to a fault. But because of the longer seasons, there's much more room to experiment with individual episodes that find the characters thrown into unusual circumstances. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it straight up bombed, but we got memorable different episodes because the writers got to try something new. When it worked, you got a classic episode. When it didn't, well, there's another 25 episodes to get it right. Not to mention the riffing quality.
You're not Nana. Nana's dead.
What were these people on when they wrote Sub Rosa? But while there are forgettable or even straight up terrible filler episodes, there are a lot of well-loved Star Trek episodes that technically can be called filler. Did a Fistful of Datas really add to the overall show that much? Not really. It's a holodeck episode, it's pretty self-contained, and you don't lose a whole lot by skipping it. It could have even had the potential to explore Worf and Alexander's father-son relationship, but it really didn't. It's mostly Worf being strong-armed into spending time with his son. Sorry, but it's true. He was trying to take on more work to avoid hanging out with his kid. Still love you, Worf. But nevertheless, it's a fun, entertaining episode that sees Worf, Alexander, and Troy in a holo recreation of the Wild West, facing multiple characters who look like Data.
How they treating you, boy? Real bad, Paul.
I mean, I heard Star Trek was pitched as Wagon Train to the Stars, but this is ridiculous! But fun. Plus, you do get these wonderful Data moments.
Vamoose, you little varmint.
Y'all must be mistaken.
There, Data, you did it again.
Did what?
You're as handy with a shooting iron as you are with a woman's heart.
I mean, I wouldn't call this the best episode in the show, but you can't deny the results.
I'm beginning to see the appeal of this program.
Or what about The Big Goodbye? Okay, it's a season 1 episode, and a lot of season 1 gets retconned as the show went on. Not to mention, holodeck episodes aren't the most loved in the franchise. But Picard in the role of a 1940s detective? It has its moments.
I was created on a planet, Data, South America.
Heck, the Sherlock Holmes episodes? They're fun episodes, and Brent Spiner's performance as Data pretending to be Sherlock Holmes and Daniel Davis as Professor Moriarty, with finer eye makeup that I can ever hope to achieve, are what really sell the episode. These episodes are probably technically filler and don't really explore any big concepts, other than be careful what you tell the computer, Geordi. But watching our favorite characters take part in a Sherlock Holmes mystery gone awry is simply fun.
The game is afoot. Come, Watson.
Or what about The Trouble with Tribbles? It's a timeless comedy, especially for a show that, after 5 decades, occasionally shows its age. Heck, it was so good that DS9 went back and built upon it for another great episode, Trials and Tribble-ations. And what's even more impressive is that it doesn't feel out of place in DS9, nor do the DS9 characters feel out of place in the original series setting. Not to mention, we got a lot of Tribble merch out of it.
Well, if you're not gonna take him, I'm gonna take him. I think he's cute.
And speaking of DS9, it used these filler episodes to break up the Dominion War arc to keep the show from getting too serious. Listen, war is hell, and sometimes you need a goofy Ferengi comedy thrown in the middle of it. Well, not that one.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Take the Magnificent Ferengi. Yes, it's technically a Dominion war story. Quark's mother's being held captive by the Dominion, and he assembles a team of Ferengi to rescue her from Iggy Pop the Vorta.
What have they done to him?
But there's a comedic element to it that only the Ferengi characters could achieve. Slapstick, quippy lines that would feel out of place if any other character said them. Lek.
Who do you want eliminated?
I saw we weren't gonna rescue her, so I put her out of her misery. What's the most vulnerable part of a Jem'Hadar's body?
The characters in this episode have enough incompetence to make the story work without making it feel out of place. After all, these aren't commandos and they've been thrown into a dangerous situation. It just all works so well. It's technically a filler episode, but it breaks up the tension of the Dominion War while still being connected to it. What can I say? This episode's a masterpiece.
How does it feel to be a hero?
You tell me.
And 2 episodes later, and after the episode about Ducat's madness, we have another Quark comedy, Who Mourns for Morn?
Keep it warm for Morn.
Morn, the life of the party, the regular pillar of the community of Quark's bar and Holosuites, is dead.
I can't believe he's really gone.
But Quark inherited his fabulous wealth.
Your inheritance, Lavanian beets, very ripe.
But it turns out that Morn was the mastermind behind the Lysepian Mother's Day heist, and his old business partners want their share of the loot, which Morn ran off with.
I'm the only one who can take delivery of the latinum. You need my thumbprint.
If you stand still, this won't hurt as much.
Except that Morn's inheritance isn't quite what anyone expected.
There's nothing here but worthless gold.
And it's all yours.
But it turns out Morn is alive, and the real treasure was inside him all along.
That's a lot of latinum. No wonder your hair fell out.
Once again, you're technically not missing anything important to the overall story arc by skipping this episode. Quark doesn't change through it, though he probably needed a few changes of pants. But you're really missing out on a fun caper if you skip this episode. Heck, take me out to the Holosuite. Crazed Ducat might be out there, the wormhole may have just been restored, and Ezri had a couple of emotional breakdowns. But dang it, we're playing baseball! Just to settle a score with a Vulcan who kinda has an unhealthy obsession with Cisco. Also, Worf learns the fine art of chattering.
Hey, batter, 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 batter. Hey, batter, 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 batter.
Death to the opposition.
But okay, these are all fun episodes that you don't want to miss, but if you do, you're really not missing that much. Other than a good time. But there's one episode that often finds itself among the top episodes in Star Trek, and it can technically be called a filler episode. Yesterday's Enterprise. An episode that ultimately renders itself moot by hitting the reset button at the end. Unless you count Tasha Yar's Romulan daughter popping up later in the show.
How could Tasha Yar be my mother?
It's been suggested that she was on board the Enterprise C when it was destroyed 24 years ago.
But the episode does give us a look at an alternate timeline with a war-weary, battle-hardened Enterprise. Tasha Yar is still the tactical officer, Worf and Troy nowhere to be seen, and Guinan knows it's all wrong.
It's not right.
It poses an ethical dilemma at Picard. Either send the Enterprise C back to its time to be destroyed, but restore the timeline, or continue with a losing war. It's a well-acted, emotional, and tense episode with great moments. And again, is technically a filler episode. Except for that. And even then, you probably don't need to see yesterday's Enterprise for Seela's episodes to make sense. Heck, Voyager went back to the reset button multiple times.
Okay, bad example.
Well, not necessarily. Year of Hell is a well-regarded episode that probably qualifies as filler since by the end, it never happened. But yeah, Voyager did go back to that well a little too often. Heck, Mirror Universe, anyone? I mean, I know I don't like the Mirror Universe, but they obviously were well-liked enough to keep getting episodes. But all this to say that filler episodes aren't necessarily bad. They can be a great way for writers to try new things. But because there's always a risk of an idea simply not working, shows can really only get away with them if there are enough episodes in a season. If a filler episode is a dud in a 10-episode season, that's a much bigger hit than a 26-episode season having a dud. My advice for the newer TV shows is to either avoid filler episodes or make longer seasons to allow for experimentation. Filler episodes can be a great opportunity to find something that really works. But for a limited number of episodes, they can end up doing more harm than good.
You're out of here! What?
But that's about all the waxing on I have about filler episodes. What about you? What are your thoughts on filler episodes? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you agree with me that it depends on the show's format, or am I completely missing something? And most importantly, what did you think of this video's format? I tried something different this week. Please, leave comments below and let me know what you think. As always, thanks for tuning in to another Star Trek video. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends. Until next time,
There's nothing here but worthless gold.